At the risk of every Evo review sounding kind of similar, well, that's kind of the thing. They are pretty similar. They're always very consistent, very quick, and pretty damn good all-rounders in pretty much every game that features them, as well as in real life. The only caveat to this particular review is pretty much the same as last time when I reviewed the Evo IX, and that is that for the moment, we don't have a motor swap for it, so the upper end of tuning is certainly not exactly realistic, let's say it that way. Fully built, you're looking at about 540 horses in this car, so what was it, 550 I think, 552, something like that in the Evo IX, so it's pretty close between the two cars. This of course being a 2008 Evo VIII MR GSR, with of course that very distinctive, different coloured rear wing compared to the normal GSRs and the RSs. The RS was always a cool one because you got the, of course, more rally approach from the factory, that was the point. The Steelies, it was ready to go. I feel like a bit of an undervalued car for many players, but a cool one nonetheless. And incidentally, polyphony, if you do add any more wheels in future, I think many of us would really appreciate just having some blank Steelies. That would be really cool to have, especially if you can change up the size as well. But that's by the by. In terms of this car, you technically can find this one in the used dealer as well as the main Mitsubishi dealer. You don't save a huge amount, so you may as well buy new. It's 80 grand from the main dealership and about 60 from the used one, so you know, swings and roundabouts. For the sake of 20 grand, you might as well get it with no mileage, but it's up to you at the end of the day. In terms of visual upgrades, it's fantastic. As I alluded to in my review of 1.52 a few days ago, it comes with a very good body kit because unlike most of the wide arch kits, it already has so many other additional bits applied as well that you almost don't need to do much else. If you do though, then this is one of those cars where the visuals do change in terms of what you can choose, especially the front end for example, depending on if you do or don't have the wide body fitted. So that is something to bear in mind. And in terms of the other visuals, you've got the drag wing, which is a curious choice. Much like the GTR this time around, you've got the changeable grille, which is a nice touch, and as you can see here, you can even build a version of a real-world HKS Evo if you wanted to, and it's pretty damn close to the real car. It's not a CT230R, but it's not too far off, same lineage, and in terms of performance, well, the fact that it only has 540 horses doesn't mean too much fully built, because naturally we are probably, next month I would imagine, going to get some kind of motor swap, probably the Group B Evo again. I'm kind of surprised, to be honest, that they didn't add it this time, especially given that the Hilux had its motor swap straight away. But I guess they like to keep us waiting, don't want to give us it all at once, or whatever. In terms of fully built performance then, you're probably going to be closer to 800 horses, just like the Evo IX is, and it will be a weapon. In terms of the weight, it's very good, barely 1,090 kilos, fully stripped out. Even standard though, it's a 1,400 kilo car. In terms of its standard points, you're looking at just over 500, it's 512.88, at least at the time of releasing the car in the game, and of course that will probably change in future. The point level does tend to be one of those things which fluctuates quite a bit, and in terms of the future, well, I would say that based on how good it already is, for me personally at least, and of course when it comes to Evos or Subarus, it's always down to personal preference, but I would probably choose the Evo VIII over the 9. I like the visual upgrades more. I've never been a huge fan of the Evo IX, as sacrilegious as it is to say. It felt a little bit lazy to me in terms of its design compared to the Evo VIII. It didn't change too much, but in terms of performance, well, if this is how good it already is, of course it's going to be ballistic with that doubtless engine swap down the line. And who knows, we may get a wildly different motor swap. It could be like another Pikes Peak Scudo engine swap. I personally hope it isn't, because as great as the power is, the lag is chronic, but I suspect it will be the Group B if the past is anything to go by. At the end of the day, this one is probably most notable, at least for most Evo fans, not so much because of the car coming to the game. Of course that is notable and it was very highly requested, but it's almost more notable because of one of the events to come with it, which is a much needed rally event for the Evos. It happens to be on my least liked rally track in the game, but still it's better than nothing, and it's nice to, as I again alluded to in my review of the update, be able to actually use my special projects builds for various Evo rally cars. It's a pretty sad state of affairs where you have to be happy about one new rally race being added, but that's Gran Turismo 7 for you, and unfortunately that's kind of Gran Turismo as a whole. They've always had rallying as a bit of a secondary thought, which is ironic given how many rally cars there are in the entire series. I still prefer the 7 personally for real-world and in-game versions. I don't necessarily see an Evo 7 coming to the game anytime soon. It would be nice to see it, to have, you know, the full lineage, including the 1, 2, and 7, to complete the whole thing, but I don't know, I don't quite see the Evo 7 happening, at least in this game. I could see it maybe being like a premium update in the future, and I could be just having a brain fart and forgetting that it was in the leaked list, but I don't think it was. I don't recall it being there. I could be wrong though, so correct me if I was. That's it for my thoughts on the Evo 8 though. Of course, give me yours down below if you found it particularly good for something, and of course all that remains is to talk about the GTR, the final shape T-Spec, tomorrow on the channel, so stick around for that, and I'll see you then. But for now, thanks for watching.